पाद कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण
कृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासति गौर भक्त वृंद
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण
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 हरे
हरे हरे
हरे
हरे
राम
राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे.
In our last session, we were on second chapter. So what we discussed, we saw Arjuna was presenting his argument that he cannot kill these great souls. But rather, he would prefer to live by begging. Later on, he got confused and he surrendered to Krishna, and how Krishna has chastised him. Then Krishna starts speaking. He is telling about the individuality of the soul and the eternity of the soul. Further, he says, Dehi no ismin yatha dehe omaram yovanam. This soul which is residing in this body, how it is passing through boyhood to youth, youth
Yes.
to adult, to old age, and at time of death, it is changing the body. So body is changing, soul remains the same, eternal. So that Krishna says, then Arjuna may ask, but what I am attached to that particular body, that body who has a relationships. What if I am attached to that? So for that, Krishna is further explaining about this is like happiness and distress duality in this material nature is there, and the one who is not disturbed by this thing, one who tolerates this thing, is the dhira, is the sober person, is the man who is full of intelligence. That person, dhira means the one who has the information, who has the knowledge about the soul and the super soul, material world as well as the spiritual world. That person is dhira, sober man. Then further Krishna talk about that one who is studying both this happiness and distress is eligible for liberation. That person is eligible for liberation. So today we'll start from verse 16. We'll start from verse 16. I'll share my screen. Start from this verse 16. So please follow me. Verse Nasato vidyate bhavo
आसते
मस्तो विद्यते भावो
na bhavo vidyate satah
ना भावो विदते सतः
सतः
उभयोरपि दृष्टो अन्तस्य
उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्य
तव अन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
Anyone would like to try chanting this shloka?
नाशते विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सत उभयोरपि दृष्टान्तेन तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
Anyone else? कोई और try करना चाहेगा?
नास्तो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तस्त्व अन्योस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः.
Yes. कोई और try करना चाहेगा? Anyone else would like to try? Okay, so we'll read the translation. Those who are the seer of truth have concluded that of the non-existence there is no endurance, and of the existence there is no cessation. This seer have concluded by studying the nature of both. So here Krishna is talking about two things. One is Asat, another is Sat. Sat means which is truth or which is existent. It is always going to exist. Sat. It also refer to eternity, which is truth, which is absolute truth. Like there are lot of truths. One is relative truth and another is absolute truth. Relative truth is like sun is not there. It is a relative truth because now it is a night. So sun is not there. Sun is not visible. But what is absolute truth? Sun is there. Currently it is not visible because of night. Again, very important thing to understand, one is relative truth and one is absolute truth. Relative truth is sun is not there. Yes, sun is not there. Now sun is not there because it is night. That is relative truth. But absolute truth is sun is there. We are not able to see because of dark or because of night. We are not able to see. Once sun rises, we'll be able to see the sun. So that is the difference between relative truth and absolute truth. So this Sat refers to the absolute truth, which is eternal, which is eternally exist. Right? And this Asat means which is not, it is false. Asat means truth, Asat means it is false. So non-existence, here Asat is referred as non-existence, which does not exist. That is Asat. That is Asat. So now this Asat, which does not exist, it also in this material world, it refers to material world also. This Bhautik Sansar is also known as Asat. How it is known as Asat? Because it is temporary in nature. It is temporary in nature. It comes, stay for a while, and again it destroys. It gets annihilated. That is Asat, which does not exist. It will exist, but for a short time, very temporary, very short time of period it will exist. Just like this body is there. Body is Asat or Asat? कौन बताएगा? Will tell body is Asat or Asat?
Asat Prabhu.
Asat.
How it is Asat?
It is temporary.
It's temporary.
It's because it is temporary. It will stay for some time, again it will get destroyed, annihilated. After some time, this body will get annihilated. So that is the nature of this material world. And now here Krishna is telling those who are the seer of the truth, Tattvadashibhihi, they have concluded that of the non-existence there is no endurance. No endurance means it will not endure, it will not last. It will not last for a long time. That is the nature of this Asat. And of the existence, there is no cessation. The thing which is Sat, the thing which cannot be destroyed, there is no cessation, there is no destruction. It will never destroy. That thing is known as Sat. That thing is known as Sat, which has no cessation, which has no destruction. And this Tattvadashibhi, by studying, they are not saying whimsically. They are saying after studying, they are saying this is that Sat has no destruction and Asat has no endurance. So here, very one important thing also to understand, Krishna, he is also referring to authorities. Krishna is the supreme authority in everything, but Krishna himself is referring to authority to bring more authenticity. Just like for a product to sell in the market, marketing, how it works is they bring more authenticity by getting it advertised by various celebrities. Suppose some celebrity has become the brand ambassador of so and so product, so that products become more authorized, more authentic in the market. It becomes very easy to sell that product. Same way, Krishna, who is the supreme authority, he is telling the Tattvadarshi, those who are authorities of the scriptures, those who have realized the truth. Tattva means truth. Those who have realized the truth, those who have realized the self, those who have realized the super soul, those who have realized the Bhagwan. Such person has concluded this. Such person has concluded this, so that he is giving more importance to this understanding. Krishna wants to give more importance to this understanding. We'll read this purport. There is no endurance of the changing of body. The body is changing every moment by the action and reaction of different cells is admitted by the modern medical science, and thus growth and old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between the matter and the spirit. So, matter, we see matter, this body is made of 5 elements. Panchabhuta, 5 elements: fire, air, ether, water. All these combination of 5 elements, this body is made. Now, this body, we are seeing how it is changing. Even modern science, it also says all the cells of this body get replaced within 7 years. Within 7 years, some cells get replaced in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, or max 7 years, all the cells get replaced in this body. So we see how this matter keep changing. This body is keep changing, but the soul, the spirit souls exist permanently and it remains eternally. That Krishna is saying. By the nature, the body is ever changing and soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all class of seer of truth, both personalist and impersonalist. Both impersonalist as well personalist who have realized this truth. They are the one who has realized the truth that body is always changing, whereas soul, which is Sat, which is eternal, remains the eternally. It remains permanently. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that Vishnu and his abode all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotimsi Vishnu Bhavnani Vishnu. The words existence and non-existence refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of all seer of truth. So how this non-existence and existence is referred only to spirit and matter. Spirit or soul is existent. It is Sat. It remains eternally. That is soul. And this non-existence is body, matter, which comes, stay for a while, just like how we can understand this? We can understand this by sky and the clouds. Clouds, after a few days or some other parts of the India, we see now this rainy season, monsoon is approaching. So clouds, they come for a while they pour water and they disappear. And when they pour water, by the pouring of water, by that rainfall, various crops, vegetation, it grew, it produces certain byproducts, and with that byproducts, life keep going on. So these clouds, they are temporary in nature. They are temporary in nature. They come for a while, stay, does their some work, and gets annihilated or disappear. That is the nature of this non-existent. That is asat. But it doesn't mean cloud are false. Cloud is there, their presence is there, but it is temporary in nature. Whereas sky is there eternally, it is staying there. Sky is always there, but cloud stay for a while. Cloud is asat in nature. It is non-existent, and the sky is permanent. Now further, this is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. So this is the beginning of instruction. By understanding this, so very important thing here also to understand is Krishna is starting from the beginning. It is a matter of battlefield. Mahabharat youth is going on. It's about to start, and in the beginning of that Mahabharat field, Krishna is not talking about warfare. Krishna is not talking about the warfare. Krishna is talking about the root cause itself. He is sharing the knowledge about the root itself. What is that existence of the self? How we all exist. About that, Krishna is starting speaking. And this knowledge take oneself from the tamas to jyotir. Tamaso mam jyotir gamaya. From tamas, from the darkness, from the ignorance, this knowledge take oneself to the enlightenment. So how this knowledge can help us to remove the ignorance? We'll see further. Removal of ignorance involves the reestablishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and worshipable, and consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of God. So how this ignorance, how this tamas can be removed? How it is possible? It is possible when our relationship, we are the part and parcel of the Lord. When our relationship with the Supreme, to whom we all belong, when that relationship is developed, that is the process of removing the ignorance. Because we all are the part and parcel of the Lord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mame Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. How we are all part and parcel of the Lord, how we all belongs to Him. When we develop that relationship with Him, we can become free from ignorance, tamas, and we can be situated in the science of self-realization. That is the science of self-realization. We can be situated on the platform of knowledge. We can realize our own self. That is the process of spirituality. Now, how this can be done? How we can develop that relationship with the Lord is by doing the seva, by doing the devotional service to the Lord. We can develop this relationship. Now, a person who dies here, what happens when somebody dies? He leave the body, he passes away. So people chant one word: Ram Naam Sat Hai. Ram Naam Sat Hai. So what does it mean? The holy name of the Lord is eternal. Rest all is asat. Rest all is asat, is not going to help us. Rest all is temporary. Only holy name of the Lord is eternal. Only that can help us. Devotional service to the Lord can help us. Further, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about how we human beings, spend our entire life in developing Asat Senya, in developing army which is Asat, which is temporary. Such army, we spend our entire life to develop such army. Suppose there is a war happens between two nations. Suppose India and Pakistan. One of the nation has spent all the resources to develop the army. But at the time of war, battle, that army leaves the battlefield. So such army can be referred as a Asat Senya. Asat Senya. Asat Sena means the army which is temporary, which is not existent, which is a false. So same way we ourselves are developing such army in our lifetime. How we are developing such army? By depending more and more on the wealth, power, name, fame, relatives, friends, all such things we keep developing. We keep developing, thinking that only this thing can save me. There is nothing else which will save me. My wealth, my name, my fame, all these things will save me. So what happens? By doing this, we develop this Asat Senya. And Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that Asat Senya is none other than Aham and Mameti. Aham means my, me. Aham means me and Mameti means mine. मैं और मेरा. मैं ये हूँ. I am so and so person. I am a rich person. I am a powerful person. I am a scientist. I am a doctor. All these things we spend our life to develop Aham and Mameti. And Mameti is mine means my friend, my relative, my bank balance, my property, my wealth, my bungalow, my car. Entire life we keep developing these two things. These two towers we can say. But what happens when death comes? Mrityu sarvas haras chaham. Krishna is telling Mrityu sarvas haras chaham. When this death comes, death will take away all these things. All the opulence, all the resources, entire thing which we have accumulated in our entire life, all those temporary things will be taken away by the death, at the time of death. So these things, Asat Senya, cannot save us from the clutches of death. So what will save this? What will save us? This Asat Senya is not going to help us because it is temporary in nature. It will cheat us at the time of death. What will save us is the time, the energy we spend on our own self. Because we being the spirit, we being the soul, we are eternal, we are Sat in nature. And that Supreme Lord Krishna, He is also Sat. When we develop that relationship with Krishna, when we spend time in developing that relationship with Krishna, on that Sat, because Krishna is also Sat, that thing will remain with us forever. And that thing will save us. That is the establishment of relationship between the part and parcel and the Supreme Lord. And when that relationship is developed, we can be saved by all dangers of this material world. Whatever danger exists, we can be saved. And our path will become free from all kind of fears, all kind of bhaya, all kind of fear. Our path will become free from all kinds of fear. Further, we'll read. One can understand the nature of the Supreme by thorough study of oneself. So, suppose there is a big industry which produces certain food product, some kind of juice it produces. So now to check that juice, whether that juice is of good quality or not, you simply just take out some portion of it to test in your lab. By testing it, you will understand whether this juice is perfect or not, it is as per a standard or not. One can easily understand. Similarly, we being the part and parcel of the Lord, the spirit soul, who is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, when we understand ourselves, we can easily understand about the Supreme Lord also. We can simply understand Supreme Lord also by studying our own self, by realizing our own self, because we are the part of the Lord. The difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutra as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by the superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entity belongs to the superior nature, as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic is accepted as the supreme, the energy or nature is accepted as the subordinate. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of the master and the servant, or teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all the living entities for all time. Very important, this thing. Lord Krishna is giving this Bhagavad Gita to remove that ignorance, to remove that tamas from the living entity. Krishna is giving this knowledge for our enlightenment. And further, for all the living entities and for all time. It is not during Dwapar Yuga or during Mahabharata. Okay, in that war, Krishna is meant to give this knowledge, and this knowledge is meant for that particular time. No, for all time. Bhuto, Bhavishyati, and this present time also. Current time also. For all time, this knowledge is meant, not just for past. It is meant for past, present, and future, for all kind of living entity, for all kind of people, for all time. This knowledge is meant for. Right? Further, we'll read this 17th verse. Avinashi tu tadvedi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham yasyasya nakashit karatum arhati. Translation. Know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Now, Krishna is further explaining about soul. no one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. So one of the quality of the soul is imperishable, and Krishna is emphasized that no one is able to destroy this soul. No one can destroy this soul. Don't think that this soul can be destroyed by someone. Krishna is telling no one can destroy this soul, and this soul is imperishable in nature. This body is perishable. Suppose you don't take bath for 2 days, 3 days, you will start stinking. बदबू आना शुरू हो जाता है. Our mouth will start smelling. Our body, skin will start smelling. Right? So it is perishable. Even when we die, as soon as the soul leaves the body, this body will lose all the glamour. It will start perishing. It will start perishing. सड़ना शुरू हो जाएगा. Whereas this soul is imperishable. Now, what is the symptom of the soul? Krishna is explaining about that. What is that symptom? That is Krishna is saying here. Know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. What is that? Read. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body is it is consciousness. Consciousness, Chetana, is the symptom of the soul. Now, suppose I ask, electricity is there, current is there. How we can see? We cannot see electricity or current by our naked eyes. We cannot see. But we can understand the presence of electricity or current through its symptom. And what is that symptom? I turn on the switch, light is on. I turn on the switch, fan is on, fan is working. So that is the symptom of the electricity, current. This mobile phone is working. How it is working? We cannot see radio waves by our naked eyes. We cannot see. These radio waves are outside the spectrum of visible spectrum. But how we can see that these radio waves are present through its symptom? And what is that symptom? This mobile phone is working through internet, through some network. So it means radio waves are present. The same way, this body is working. How it is working? It is feeling the pain and pleasure. How? Because presence of the consciousness. This consciousness, Chetana, is present in the body. We can feel pain and pleasures, and we can experience different things in our life. So that is the symptom of the soul. And one of the aspects of the consciousness is feeling the pain and pleasure. This bodily sensation, that is the symptom of the soul. It's the consciousness. And this is what makes difference between the dead person, matter, or a living person, or a soul. A dead person, just now, a person is died. So what is the difference? He is lying there. He is lying there. But how we can say he is dead? By the presence of consciousness. Because consciousness is not there, he is declared to be dead. Soul has left the body. He has lost his consciousness. It means he is dead. Now, some philosophers, they say with a certain combination of the matter, when matter comes in a proper ratio and proportion together, it produces consciousness. Atheistic philosophy, they say like this, When matter comes together, it produces consciousness. So on this, scriptures also say, or various acharyas, and in fact Prabhupada is said, okay, if that is the thing, if at a particular some time or under certain conditions, matter comes together and consciousness get formed, we are ready to supply all the matters, all the elements. You make that dead person alive, bring back the consciousness. Is it possible? It is not possible. Why? Because soul has left the body. Or you produce a new life. You produce a new life. It is not possible. Because this presence of soul, which is the part and parcel of the Lord, that soul is not there. So how there can be a consciousness? How can be consciousness? That is also not possible. Further we read, everyone is conscious of the pain and pleasure of the body in the part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's body. The pain and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is embodiment of individual soul, and the symptom of soul presence is perceived as individual consciousness. Soul is present, we can conceive through the presence of soul through consciousness. Now, what is the size of this soul? That is further explained. This soul is described as the 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. And where it is mentioned in Shvetastara Upanishad, it is said, Balagra Shata Bhagyasya Shatadha Kalpitasya Cha Bhago Jivasa Vigneya Sa Cha Antayaya Kalpate. When the upper point of the hair is divided into 100 parts, Balagra Shata Bhagasya. This bal hair, if you divide into Shata means 100, Bhaga means portion. If you divide, and again each of such part is further divided into 100 parts. That one portion of that 100 part is further divided into 100 parts. Each such part is the measurement or the dimension of the spirit soul. That is the dimension and the measurement of the spirit soul. That is the size of the spirit soul. And in the Bhagavatam also, same thing is mentioned. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. Upper portion of the hair, which is divided by 10,000. That is the size of the soul. Now, where this soul is present, that is mentioned by Mundaka Upanishad. Read further. Therefore, the individual particle of the soul, spirit soul, is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms. And such atoms are innumerable. Such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of material body. See, this material body, basic principle of this material body is the spiritual spark. If this spark is there, spirit is there, this material body is working. This material body is growing. This material body is responding, feeling pain and pleasure. All such thing is possible because of the presence of this spirit soul. In fact, this entire universe is working because of the presence of the spiritual spark. Matter can work, matter can act only by the influence of this spiritual spark. This tree is growing. How it is growing? By the influence of spirit soul. Spirit soul is there, tree is growing. And the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. Just like a small medicine, small tablet we take, it spreads over entire body. Wherever it is required, it works there. And it spreads through the entire body. Same way this spirit soul, which is a small or minute in size, is spread throughout this body. This current of the spirit soul is felt over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body. So here the definition of dead body is also given. A body is there minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but due to spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad, the measurement of spirit, atomic spirit soul is further explained. What it is saying, Mundaka Upanishad, it is saying the soul is atomic in size. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. See, Mundaka Upanishad, it is saying soul is atomically very small in size, very atomic in size, and it can be perceived only by perfect intelligence. It cannot be perceived by a person who is ignorant. Right? This atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air. What are those air? Prana, Apana, Vyana, Samana, and Udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. So here Mundaka Upanishad, it is furthermore telling about the soul, where this soul is residing inside this body. So where it is residing, it is situated within the heart of the living entity. When the soul is purified from the contamination of 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So one who gets free from the material, who gets free from the material attachments, who gets free from this material air, who gets free from this asat, he can exhibit his spiritual influence. He can exhibit his spiritual influence. So this heart is the residing position of the soul. And this heart is also known as the energy house of the body. And when a person, he leaves the body, he dies. So medically what they say, heart failure. He has died out of heart failure. Heart failure means his heart has stopped working. And how this heart stops working? Because the soul leaves the body. That's why this heart stops working. Because this soul is active in nature, is energy. This soul is full of energy. And because of this soul, entire body is working. Because of this small spark soul, entire this body is working. And when this soul leaves the body, our hearts stop working. Further we'll read, the Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So this Hatha Yoga, various asanas, yama, niyama, pratyahara, all these various asanas, pranayams, they are meant for what? They are meant to control this air so that one can become free from this air, material air, contamination of this material air, and one can liberate himself. That is the process of Hatha Yoga. Not to attain some fit body, I want fit body. That is the byproduct of this Hatha Yoga. You do asanas or pranayam by following that process. As a byproduct, your body will be fit, but the end result is to attain liberation. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of the atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of all living entities, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. Because people in general or scientists, they cannot perceive the soul because of its very minute in size. People deny the existence of the soul itself. Then what they say? They say whenever there is a combination of matter, consciousness evolves, or consciousness develops. When certain matters come together, certain elements come together, consciousness develops. That is their idea. Now, further, the individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus all the energies of the bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. So, source of this energy, heart is working continuously from the time we take birth until the time we leave this body. This heart is continuously working, beating, pumping the blood. So from where it is getting that energy is through the soul. Through the soul. Medical science, however, does not admit that the heart is the seat of all energy. It does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Even medical science also accepts that this heart is the seat of all the energy present in the body. Right? Further we read, such atomic particles of a split whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental part of the Supreme Lord are atomic spark of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. Neither Vedic knowledge nor modern science denies the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of the Godhead himself. So Krishna himself has described this science of the soul, science of the self. He has personally explained this. Next verse, we'll read. अंतवत इमे देहा नित्य योक्त शरीरिणः अनाशीनो अप्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारता. Translation: only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So here, Krishna has made the difference between the soul and the body. So this body is indestructible. It will get vinasha. It will destroy body. Whereas soul is indestructible. This soul is indestructible, whereas body of the living entity is subject to destruction. This soul cannot be destroyed, body cannot be easily destroyed. Soul is immeasurable, cannot be measured, very small in size. Whereas body can be measured, body has a particular size. Living entity, small living entities, cells, they might be in nanometer, some are in centimeter, some are in meter. Like our body height can be measured in meter, 1.7 meter, 1.8 meter. So body is measurable, can be measured, but soul cannot be. Soul is eternal in nature, whereas this body is temporary in nature. It will stay for some time, for 50 years, 60 years, 100 years. After that, it will perish. That is the difference between the body and the soul. Further, we'll read this purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. We cannot maintain this body eternally. It is not possible. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy. Say nothing of being killed. So here, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, this soul, see, it is immeasurable, it cannot be seen. So why you are worrying? O son of, or descendant of Bharata, you fight. This soul, which is a living entity, it cannot be seen. So why you are worrying? You fight. Like that, Krishna is telling to Arjuna. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity can neither be killed as he is, nor can material body, which cannot be saved for any length of time, be permanently protected. This body cannot be permanently protected. Just like there was a famous dancer known as Michael Jackson. He wanted to live for 150 years. He made all the arrangements. A team of doctors is there 24/7 with him. All various donors, suppose heart failure happens, immediately heart transplant can be done. Suppose he need blood, all such things are on immediate basis, it is available for him. All the arrangements he made. But what happened? He died at the age of 50. So one cannot trick this death. One cannot trick this death. The body will stay for a certain time. Whatever we may try, we cannot defeat this death. Death is certain. The minute particle of the Holy Spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. On what basis we spirit soul acquire certain body? Suppose some body has certain problems, like they are blind by birth, they are deaf, they cannot speak. So why all such discrepancies are there? All are there because depends upon our work, our karma. Based on our karma, we take birth, we get a particular type of body. We get a particular type of body. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as a light because he is a part and parcel of the supreme light. As the sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose. As soon as one person dies, he leaves the body. This body start decomposing. That's why when a person he dies, he is preserved through some ice, right? So that body decomposes. That process can be slowed down. Therefore, it is a spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and sacrifice the material body for the cause of religion. Now, Krishna has advised Arjuna that for the cause of religion, for the cause of dharma, to establish this dharma, this war is fought, and for that purpose, you should not worry about this body. You should not worry about this body, because this body is not so important. This body is anyway is going to perish. This body is anyway going to destroy. So don't worry about this body. This body is asat in nature. Asat in nature. So how one can become asat? How one can attain that sat nature? Already we are, soul has a sat nature. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. Anand means full of bliss. So how one can easily develop that relationship, that is very important. That can happen once there was a very young Brahmana. He was staying near to Kanpur. There is a city known as Kannauj. So one day he went to forest to collect the wood for the yagna, and he used to do all his duty very sincerely, very seriously, serving his parents. He has a young beautiful wife, some children, all that. He has a good family, executes all his duties, performing all the rituals, performing sacrifices, yagna, all that he is doing. But one day, what happens? By the association of this material nature, he sees a prostitution is enjoying with another person. A person is enjoying with that prostitute. He sees that thing in the forest when he goes to collect the wood for the yagna. So by seeing such a thing, he get enamored. He get carried away. He returned back performing his yagna. He is thinking of that scene. That scene is coming to his mind, how that person is enjoying this prostitute. So he develops that desire to enjoy the prostitute. So he leaves his family, entire house, everything he leaves, and comes with this prostitute to enjoy with her. And when he starts enjoying with the prostitute, he immediately starts falling down. Immediately fall down. He start robbery, all these things like killing persons, looting them, all these things he started doing. He starts following the path of adharma. So that's why in our life it is very important to be always in good association of satsanga. That's why it is known as satsanga. Satsanga means which will help us to make spiritual progress. Such association is known as satsanga. When we have such an association, we will make spiritual progress in our life. If we see example of Duryodhana, he had a satsanga of his Shakuni Mama. Dhritarashtra had a association of Duryodhana. By Duryodhana, his mind got contaminated. Kaikai mind got contaminated by the asat sangha of mantra. All such examples are there. Even Maharaj Parikshit mind got contaminated by the influence of Kali, by the association of Kali. So it is very important in our life to always have satsanga. Always remember Krishna. By serving Krishna, by having an association of devotees, we can remain pure. We can remain pure. And we can develop that relationship with Krishna. We can re-establish that relationship with Krishna. That is very, very important because we are the spirit soul. We are the Sat by nature. It is very important for us to develop that nature again, to establish that relationship with Krishna again. Okay, so anyone has any question or anything to ask or share, please feel free to share or ask.
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have two questions.
Yes.
In the purport that we were reading for verse 17, page number, it's written that the individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul. So that means there are two souls. One is individual atomic soul, and there is a super soul, which is like Krishna.
Yes. Yes. So what is the question here? Or you are just confirming this thing?
Yeah, I'm just confirming. Like, are there two souls in the body?
Yes.
Or like Krishna is present inside the body in the form of a super soul also.
Correct. So Krishna, he expands himself as a Paramatma, which retains in our heart as a Paramatma, as a super soul. So this soul, this Paramatma is always accompanying this living entity, this soul. Atma is always accompanied by this Paramatma. And only with the help of this Paramatma, we can enjoy, we can, whatever we are able to do is because of the presence of Paramatma. Because of the sanction of Paramatma, we can do whatever activity we want to do only because it is Paramatma is present in our heart. So further we'll see Bhagavad Gita how Krishna is explaining about that Paramatma also. How this Paramatma is guiding us. So that all we'll see how it is happening. So Paramatma and Atma both are there in this body. Atma is also there, soul is also there, Paramatma is also there, super soul is also there. Yes. Other question?
And Prabhu, the other question is regarding like, so why the spirit soul leaves the body? So is the answer like because the body is temporarily given to us to realize the God or Krishna?
Yes. So this body, this human body, this human birth we get to make any species for that matter, any birth for that matter is given for what purpose? To make spiritual advancement, to make spiritual progress. That is the purpose of a species, whatever is given. And now this human body, human birth is particularly given to us so that we can come out. We can make sufficient spiritual progress and we can come out of the cycle of birth and death. That is the purpose of this human life, human body. Now, why this soul leaves this human body, how this soul leaves the human body is this soul, this Atma has certain, account of its karma or activities it has done. We have certain punya, karma, whatever we have done in our this life, previous lives, all these lives comes to a certain account of karma. Based on that, we get a particular human life, particular number of years, particular number of breath. Basically, you can say we get suppose for 40 years, 50 years, we get that much time to live. So based on that, we live, and after that time duration, we have to leave this body. We have to leave this body. That leaving body is also known as natural death. And there is one more way to leave the body, which is known as unnatural or untimely death. And that untimely death or unnatural death is known, can be in the form of suicide, can be in the form of accidents. All such things is known as untimely death. Because our body is not fit to live in accident. Suppose our this body, mind, this head got separated from this body, so our body is not fit to live. So what happens? The soul will leave the body because it is not fit. Just like the cloth we are wearing. Suppose this cloth get torn, so this cloth is not fit to wear. So what we do? We throw away this cloth. We wear another cloth. So same way, what happens? This body also get changed, just like cloth. Krishna will give example of this cloth further in Bhagavad Gita. Just like we changes the cloth, this body also keep changing. We keep changing our body also. So hope you understand this thing. आपको
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for explaining so beautifully.
any other question? Yes. Okay, we'll start. Yes.
I have a question, follow-up question on this one. So if
Yes.
someone encountered an untimely death, so
Hmm.
does he get the same type of body or a different species, like animal or insect or something?
It depends upon his karma. So what happens? Suppose he is supposed to live for 60 to 70 years. His lifespan is 60 to 70 years. But due to certain circumstances, he met an accident or suicide, whatever it is, he gets an untimely death at the age of 40. So remaining 20, 30 years, how he is going to spend is, he will be having ghostly body. He will become the ghost. He will become a ghost. He will be roaming around in this material world only as a ghost. Ghost means he will not have gross body. He will have only subtle body. In that subtle body, he will be roaming here, there, wherever he wants. He will be roaming till 60 or 70 years, till that lifespan. After that, based on his karma, he will get another body. After, based on his karma, he will get another body. Yes. Other question?
So the pindadana that we do after cremation or antim sanskar, that doesn't liberate his soul from the ghostly existence.
So
So
Pinddan,
usually that is what we are told, that we do pinddan and antim sanskar and all those rituals to get the soul relieved from this
liberate.
world and go wherever it has to.
I got it. So Pinddan, how it is, another this thing is untimely death. When it happens, that person becomes ghost. Ghost. It becomes ghost. Now a person who has left his body on time, natural death, he has died. Now what happens? Suppose he is not attained that liberation in that birth. So what will happen? He will go to Pitraloka. He will go first to Yamaloka. Based on his karmas, he will be, what kind of birth, all that is calculated, how much punya he's done, how much papa he has done, all these things will be calculated. Then he will be sent to Pitraloka. In Pitraloka, he will be residing, and for certain time period, 2-3 generations of his next generations are there. Till that time, he will be waiting that my son, my grandson will do something for me, some punya on my behalf. They will do pinda dana, so that I'll get opportunity to have a Vishnu Prasad, so that I can get liberated from this material world. So Pindadana is done for the living entity so that he gets opportunity to have a Vishnu Prasad, because that Vishnu Prasad can liberate that person from this material world, from the cycle of birth and death. So that's why this Pindadana is done for that all the living entities, so that that person who is there in the Pitraloka get free from the cycle of birth and death. So that's why Pindadana is done.
Yeah, I think I got a little clarity, but again, one thing keeps coming to my mind is there is nothing like accident or surprises when God is controlling everything. It's for just for human, I believe. Like I can say some accident as accident, but everything is planned and is played by God with all humans. So there shouldn't be any accident if God has planned 70, 80 years for a person and he cannot leave the body. Like otherwise, I will understand it as God has planned him to stay in the body for 40 years and remaining in Pitraloka or somewhere else like ghostly appearance. So is my understanding correct in that sense? Like m- I'm saying, why is it correct to say that there is no accident when God is controlling everything, like Krishna is controlling everything?
No,
There is no accident. Everything is planned.
Krishna, he is not controlling, he is sanctioning. There is a difference between sanction and control. Everything is definitely under the control of Krishna, that is there. But it is all up to us what we desire. Suppose I want to commit suicide. Want to commit suicide. So Krishna, he will, as a Paramatma, he will give all the intelligence, he will give all the, guidance not to commit suicide. But I have made my mind, I want to commit suicide. Now what will do? Krishna will do? Krishna will give guidance. Okay, you want to do this? You want to end your life? You want to do this? He will give guidance. Okay, you want to commit suicide? Okay, jump from this so and so floor. That kind of intelligence will get. Now, when we jump from that floor, it is our decision. Our life was meant for 60 to 70 years, but out of certain circumstances, we chose to commit suicide. So that death is known as untimely death. Now, about this accident, in our life, certain distress has to come. Certain happiness and distress is destined. We are destined for that. Now, in the form of accident, that certain distress has come upon us. So there are both things. One thing is it is already destined that will undergo certain accident, that is already destined. So we go through under certain accident and we are alive. We are not died. Or there is one more possibility, under certain accident we die, we leave our body. That is also possible. Third thing is, we are not destined to die through that accident, but our body has become so unfit to live, we will leave our body. We will leave our body. So all such different possibilities are possible. All different permutation combinations are there. It can be destined also. It can be undestined also. It can be natural also. All different possibilities are there of untimely death. Suppose our life is meant for 40 years only. So we died through accident. Our life is meant for 70 years, but we died through accident at the age of 40. That is considered as untimely death. And this untimely death, especially through accident, death is considered as ghastly. That person has committed a sin in his life. That is the understanding. Because of sin, he has got this death through the accident. Yes. Hope
No.
this.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, I am a little bit clear on this one now.
Yeah, actually, this topic is very vast about death. So more and more we will try to clarify more and more in detail. Yes. Any other question? We will end for today. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.